Hello everybody, I am Zelda Ed123, and I welcome you to the first episode of my Mighty Morphin personal retrospective. Before we kick things off, let me just get some things out of the way real quick. 1. The key word in this series' title is personal. This means I'm only going to be covering from when the franchise began for me as a consistent viewer and where it ended for me as a consistent viewer. I am in no way looking to make the next history of Power Rangers. I'm only going to be covering everything from Mighty Morphin all the way up to Wild Force. Will I review the Power Rangers shows that came out after Wild Force? Maybe. But do keep in mind they will not be part of the retrospective. I think it would be disingenuous of me to talk about shows that I wasn't consistently watching during their initial runs. 2. I'm going to keep the references and comparisons to the original Sentai to a minimum. This is not out of any dislike for the original Sentai, because after all, if it wasn't for it and Haim Saban going channel surfing in the 80s, we wouldn't even have Power Rangers to begin with. It's just that, obviously like a lot of people watching this video, I grew up watching the Americanized version. The comparisons will only happen if I feel it's worth bringing up. 3. I may bring up things from the Boom Studios comics. Now, I'm aware that they aren't exactly canon to the show, but there are things from them that I feel is very interesting and worth talking about. Admittedly, it will mostly pertain to things in Mighty Morphin. At least until I start covering Power Rangers in Space and I talk about the Ninja Turtles crossover. Although I will admit that's going to consist mostly of me complaining about that one being the crossover the two I got as a kid, instead of the one that happened in 2019. 4. I will also occasionally touch on the less than pleasant behind-the-scenes parts of Power Rangers, like David Yost's mistreatment during his tenure as Billy. And finally 5, I want everyone to keep in mind that I haven't watched Power Rangers in over 20 years since Wild Force ended. So, do forgive me if I feel like I may have forgotten a few things as I walk down memory lane. This retrospective will sort of also serve as a bit of a refresher course for me. So, with all of that out of the way, let's begin.
Alright, are you ready? Let's go! Go Power Rangers! Go Power Rangers! Go Power Rangers! Mighty Morphin Power Rangers! Go Power Rangers! Go Power Rangers! Go Power Rangers! Mighty Morphin Power Rangers!
Just think that what kicked off this crazy franchise was 2 astronauts sent to the moon who clearly slept through Egon Spengler's paranormal studies class when they chose to open what one of them described as a space dumpster. Here's the first lesson. If it looks evil and mysterious, don't touch it! I'd go further into that part, but I'm pretty sure you've all seen the show's opening before. We find ourselves at the Angel Grove Youth Center, where we get to meet our 5, for now, color-coordinated heroes of the show. Jason, the jock who teaches karate. Zach, the dancer and resident funny guy of the group. Kimberly, the popular girl gymnast and first crush of many a little boy who watched this show, yours truly certainly included. Billy, the nerd. And Trini, the... token Asian girl? Look, let me be honest with you guys for a moment. I know a lot of you look back on the Saban era with rose-colored glasses, and I mean absolutely no disrespect towards the late Sweet Trang. But even as a kid, I could never figure out what Trini's thing was supposed to be. Everyone else had something that made them unique. Jason was a leader, Billy was a genius, Zach was funny, Kimberly was nice, but Trini didn't have anything that made her stand out on her own as a character. This is something I feel the Boom Studios comics improved on by making her something of a gearhead with a penchant for sarcasm and just because I can mention it, who was able to hold her own against Raphael in the Ninja Turtles crossover we should have gotten. Aside from them, we also get the show's comic relief duo, Bulk and Skull. Interesting little fact about Skull's actor, Jason Narvi. When he was brought in to audition for the show, he was actually trying to get out of the acting business. He tried to sabotage his own audition for the part of Billy by being as obnoxious as possible.
Yeah!
Unfortunately for Jason, that was exactly what they were looking for when casting the character of Skull. After a karate class that helped establish Jason's leadership qualities and resulted in Bulk embarrassing himself, an earthquake strikes Angel Grove, and in what can only be assumed was an act of desperation, a giant head named Zordon tells his robotic ally, who couldn't be any more 90s if it tried, Alpha 5, to summon
5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
Yeah, that. After bringing them to a building in the middle of nowhere, the best kind, they're briefed about who they are and what caused the earthquake. An alien witch named Rita Repulsa who was sealed away for 10,000 years and now wants to add Earth to her list of conquered planets. So to combat this threat, he decided to recruit these 5 teenagers to stand against her and her forces as the Power Rangers. Zordon? Are you sure it's a good idea to trust the fate of the world to a bunch of high school kids without even seeing if they're right for it first? You do remember how this turned out last time, right? Yeah, it didn't end well. And at least with that team, only 2 of them actually seemed somewhat qualified, with one being a soldier who was fighting in Vietnam, and the other being an analyst for the KGB. I'm just saying, that's something you'd probably want to have a vetting process for. Believe me, I will come back to that later. Anywho, they're all assigned their ranger colors and powers that all just so happen to be the same color of the clothes they wear. Jason's the red, Billy's the blue, hey, alliteration. Kimberly's the pink, Trini's the yellow, and Zach's the black. Well, I knew this was going to have to be talked about. Yes, it was awkward to have an Asian woman as the Yellow Ranger and a black man as the Black Ranger. But here's the thing, though. Neither Twee or Walter took issue with it, and neither did the Asian and black communities. In fact, they praised Twee and Walter for portraying such positive role models for the kids. So, even if the casting can be seen as unintentional racial profiling, which could have been avoided on Trini's end if they stuck with having her as a Latina, if some good can come out of it like that, shouldn't that be enough to overlook it? They're also given the proverbial keys to giant robots called Zords that are modeled after dinosaurs. Even though the saber-toothed tiger and mastodon aren't dinosaurs, but hey, this is a Power Rangers retrospective, not a lecture about how this show screws up basic zoology. That's next Tuesday. After hearing this, Zach responds in a way that I'm pretty sure most people would.
Power Morphers? Megazords? This is just too weird for me. I tell you what, it's been real, but I gotta go.
Yeah, see ya.
Y'all coming? Jason,
What?
let's go, man.
Yeah.
Very well then, let the power protect you.
Well, now that didn't go very well, did it? Ay, ay, ay.
Of course, Zordon's new crop of Rangers weren't going to escape Rita's notice. She decides to send down the Putty Patrol to deal with them, in which they do. After this, they decide to use their newly found powers given to them by the giant floating head, and, well, you know how it goes.
Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus!
Power Rangers!
Zordon, they've done it! They made the
Zordon then teleports them to where Goldar is to fight him and his group of putties, in which the Rangers make quick work of the latter. Rita, obviously upset about this, decides to make Goldar gigantic, prompting the Rangers to summon their Zords to form the big seller of many a toy commercial, the Megazord, to give him a real battle, which he ends up dominating the majority of. However, the moment the Mega Power Sword comes down is enough to have Goldar heading back to the moon. Oh, believe me, this will not be the only time where we're robbed of a sword fight between a giant robot and a giant gold gargoyle. So thanks to Goldar's cowardice, the Rangers win the day and give Rita the first of many, many headaches to come in the show. Girl really needs some aspirin. Zordon then congratulates the Rangers on making Goldar retreat, and then reads them the rules they'll need to follow as part of their duty to saving the world.
Now that you have become Power Rangers, you must follow 3 basic rules or lose the protection of the power. First, never use your power for personal gain. Second, never escalate a battle unless Rita forces you. And finally, keep your identity secret. No one may know you are a Power Ranger.
Wait a second.
Yes, Zachary, what is it?
I'm not sure we're all up to this. I mean, we were pretty lucky this time.
Luck had nothing to do with it. The 5 of you have come together to form as fine a group of superheroes as there has ever been.
No way. Really?
You've been through an extraordinary experience together. You need each other now, and the world needs you.
Yeah. All right, I'm in.
Me too.
You can count on me.
Affirmative.
I don't know, you guys. I mean, the outfits are cool and everything, but my hair gets all tangled up inside the helmets. I don't think I can do it.
Oh no.
Kimberly, no!
Not.
Logical, circuit overload, circuit overload. Ay, 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 ay,
You guys are
ay,
just kidding.
ay, ay. Oh, humor. What a concept.
Let's do it.
Power Rangers!
And from here, the franchise begins. Overall, a pretty good pilot episode. Establishes our heroes, our villains, our comic relief, and what to expect from here on out.